Top story today, the Public Protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkwabane's counsel will make arguments at the North Gauteng High Court. Yesterday, the court heard South African Reserve Bank and Absa's plea on the Public Protector's report on the illegal Bancorp bailout. The bid is to determine if money given for the lifeline is still outstanding to the Reserve Bank. The Public Protector's Ciex Absa report found that the South African Reserve Bank's 1.125 billion rand bailout of Bancorp between 1985 and 1995 was unlawful. It also said that Absa, which bought the bank in 1992, should pay back the money. In court yesterday, Absa took on the late filing of the Public Protector's answering affidavit. Absa reiterated that her interpretation of remedial action is incorrect. Absa has also raised questions about the Public Protector's justification of her meetings with the President. The legal battle has gotten personal, it seems. The Reserve Bank is seeking a punitive cost order on the Public Protector individually instead of her office. Mkwabane has responded by saying that she is disturbed by the request for a cost order against her. She says Section 181 of the Constitution makes it clear that organs of the state should support the Public Protector. Mkwabane says, and I quote, "If you seek punitive costs, it means I must not do my work without fear or favor." South African Reserve Bank also alleges that Mkwabane's investigation shows an ulterior motive and bias. Mkwabane denies the allegations, saying all meetings with the President, State Security Agency and Black First Land First have been proper. Let's listen in to some of the arguments presented yesterday.
Every one of our grounds of review is couched in the alternative as a legality review, and we have referred the court to the authorities in our supplementary letters, which indicate that for a legality review, it is not necessary to show an adverse impact upon rights. It's the Chiron Ridge case in the Constitutional Court.
The Public Protector, it would seem, would like to approach the President. In fact, she tells us in her answering affidavit, concerned as she was not to direct the President to do anything, she met with the Presidency to discuss that issue. So instead of directing the President, she says, now I'll direct the SIU to direct the President. I'll put a middleman in between me and the President. So once again, she's purporting to do indirectly what she's not allowed to do directly. It's an unlawful exercise of power to try and do indirectly what you can't do directly.
President Mbeki makes the point quite clear that the whole project was to recover funds that were outside the country, because that was the proposal made by Mr. Oakley. The Ciex agreement, the memorandum of understanding, was then agreed on those terms, which is why President Mbeki explains to the Public Protector, not the current one, but Advocate Madonsela. President Mbeki then explains to her that, you see, what we decided to do was that if you could recover, we would then pay you a percentage of what you would recover. In fact, in the agreement, it uses the term restitution. If you could recover funds, which you say exist and they're outside the country, we would give you funding and we would give you a commission. That was the entire spirit behind the Ciex agreement, not this exaggerated understanding that has been presented by the Public Protector.
South African Reserve Bank and Absa want the whole Public Protector's report set aside. They say the remedial action to reopen the SIU probe has no basis in law, but Advocate Mkwabane says it is necessary to recover misappropriated funds of 1.125 billion rand. South African Reserve Bank and Absa further argue that the Public Protector's role is only to make findings and recommendations. But Mkwabane says without the probe, it can't be discounted that the South African Reserve Bank or Absa officials unduly benefited from the loan. South African Reserve Bank or Absa also argue that the Public Protector ignored representations after a prelim report was released. Mkwabane denies this, saying she did take into account all representations, including the amount owed. South African Reserve Bank and Absa claim that this reveals an ulterior motive, as she failed to declare meetings with the President and State Security Agency. Mkwabane counters that, saying all meetings, including that with the President, SSA and Black First Land First, were regular and proper. Then, the South African Reserve Bank and Absa claim that the Public Protector strayed beyond her entitlement to act, as the bailout was given prior to the 2-year time frame for office to act. But Mkhwebane says the Public Protector Act gives her discretion to investigate matters outside the 2-year time frame. Lastly, the South African Reserve Bank and Absa argue that the Public Protector misunderstood the lender of last resort principle. The Reserve Bank manages risks and acts as a lender to prevent a run on banks. But Mkhwebane insists that the lifeboat was illegal as no collateral was given. Preferential interest of 3% was given to Bancorp Absa when the going rate was 15%.
Back here at the Gauteng North High Court in Pretoria, where the legal battle between the Public Protector Busisiwe Mkhwebane together with Absa, the South African Reserve Bank, is continuing today. Well, yesterday we heard submissions being given by the counsel of Absa, Mr. Advocate Marcus, and he made his submissions saying that the Public Protector's report was flawed in more than a few ways, saying that she needed to come forth and say that she indeed abused her office and that the money that was given to Absa was indeed not irregular, but it was just a gift.